Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
it's funny. You popped up in my thoughts just randomly, and I can't. You know, there was no rational reason for you popping up in my head.
Why did I pop in your head?
I don't know.
Because that's how the universe works. It's
Yeah,
somebody's
I mean,
thinking
you
about
know
you.
what? You whistle, and it makes me think of something else, or I don't know. I hear a
Like, I
sound,
wanna
and it makes
hold
me
your
think of
hand.
something.
I wanna hold your
And
hand.
there were things that would come up, but you know, I never saw this guy standing up. I had no clue how tall he was.
Mm-hmm.
And
I was a basketball player back then.
well, I know, but I know a lot of basketball players, but you know, they don't stand
But if
up.
you're laying in bed, so you can't, yeah.
You're laying in bed, yeah. So, and you know, and in the operating room, you were laying in bed. And when they brought you to the operating room, you know, they put you on a gurney and they bring you into the operating room. So,
Oh, yeah, I forgot I had 2 surgeries. That was so long ago.
I don't remember what I did. I remember your injury, and so this guy was playing down on the railroad tracks with some friends,
Right.
and they were in between the trains on the coupling.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was the train was just moving very slowly. The kids were doing this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And the coupling was like this, and then the train braked, and so the coupling went like this,
Mm-hmm.
and then his foot slipped in between the coupling, and then the front train accelerated again, and like
Oh,
that,
my God.
and just caught his foot in the middle and crushed it. So I don't remember if it was Loomis
It was Loomis.
that brought me to you,
It
or
had to be
whatever.
Loomis.
They wanted to amputate his leg because they had no clue what to do for this.
That
And
just
you're
sounds
right, it was
prehistoric. I mean, it's
prehistoric,
like
but you
Fred
know-
Flintstone. I'll just cut the leg off. It's like,
But I
wait a
have to
minute.
tell you, my motivation to become a podiatrist was there was this guy that lived on the corner house at Hartwell and Clarita.
Yeah.
The same corner that I lived on.
I took the picture for you.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've been back there several times.
Okay.
I actually would knock on the door and talk to the owner and say, I used to live there. So, anyway, he lived in the same location at the corner of Hartwell and Clarita that I lived on Hartwell and Margarita.
Mm-hmm.
And his name was Howard Resnick. He was kind of a, you know, dumpy. I never really thought he would amount to much. But anyway, he ends up becoming a very well-known podiatrist.
Okay.
And he opened up in the Ypsilanti area. And he ended up marrying my cousin, who actually gave me that picture.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
And they later got divorced. But, so I'm in college and I'm thinking, what am I going to do and where am I going
Wayne
to
State.
go?
What
My
college?
day-
You say Wayne State.
I started at the University of Detroit, but me and them Catholics, we just didn't get along that well. So
Okay.
It wasn't working, huh?
yeah, they kept trying to whatever. Anyway, so I ended up transferring to Wayne. I actually went to the University of Detroit because my dad was a dentist,
Uh-huh.
and my folks were Canadian. Their folks, of course, were European. So when one of my dad's sisters moved right across from the campus at U of D, so
Mm-hmm.
he ended up living with them and going to school at the University of Detroit for undergrad, and then went into dental
Right there
school.
at 6 Mile in Livernois.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
She used to live on
That's
Oak
my
Drive,
area.
Oak
So the
Drive.
university
And when
district.
the riots
yeah.
broke out, the year that I was going to the University of Detroit was that same year.
Wow.
And you want to talk about luck? I had just parked on Livernois, and I had hit the brakes, and my books had slid off the seat onto the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down like this to pick up the books, and I heard a little bing, and I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know the riots had broken out.
Mm-hmm.
And I sit up, and there's this hole in my windshield that, had I not gone over to pick up my books, would have gone right through my head.
Mm.
Wow.
But I
Good
didn't.
God.
I said, at that moment, I still didn't. I thought it was a stone from a truck.
You just
I
didn't
had
know.
no clue.
You just didn't,
so
yeah.
Now, and Spencer Haywood was
Yeah.
at school there. He used to walk around with that gold medal all the time.
Oh, you met Spencer?
What?
You met Spencer? You saw Spencer?
Yeah, we knew each other.
Okay.
So-
Spencer Denver. That's my guy. I'm going to let him know. I'm going to make sure he gets a copy of this video.
I don't know if he remembers me.
Okay, I'm going to let him know.
But anyway, I start to walk onto the campus, and like there's security, and they're saying, "No, you got to leave. There's something going on." And I don't think anybody really knew at that point what was happening.
Yeah. We have
Or
to
maybe
kind of-
they did, and they just. So, I just went. Back
It was
to-
kind of far removed from where you were because, I mean, being in the university district, you weren't right in the inner city. That's not considered, per se, the inner city where you guys were.
Hartwell.
No, Hartwell.
Not at all.
Was it-
Not
was
at
it
all.
live
Not in
freeway?
not
I don't
in
know
not
that
in
the campus at
60,
UNC
60.
was
What do you say?
either.
Let me ask
67
you, was the
now.
last freeway there? I always wonder, when did the last freeway, I know I can read about this, but was the last freeway operational when you was, because that's right.
Yeah, I'm
literally
pretty
a
sure
block.
it was. But, the last time I was back in Detroit with all the different freeways they have, I mean, I got disoriented.
So do me a favor. Tell us, and this is kind of impromptu, about Sunby Hospital and how you ended up at Sunby Hospital, and about Dr. Lackey and Dr. Milton.
Wow. So, those people were incredibly.
When you say those people, like be more specific.
John Loomis.
Porter. Milton.
Who was the guy down the street?
Dr. Milton.
Thornton.
Thornton. Yeah, Dr. Thornton.
And they were just.
It was all black doctors in Detroit.
I was the
Yeah,
only
remember-
white guy there.
I told you that.
I had the only white face
And
and,
they
the
loved
only
you.
white car. And what a dummy I was. It was a Japanese car that I brought into Detroit. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Oh, you were really
If
trying to
anything
get some
was gonna get me
attention.
hit, it was having that Japanese car.
You were really trying to get some attention.
So talk about Dr. Porter had the big cars with the horns on them.
So I think it was Dr. Milton, got jumped in the parking lot once.
Okay.
He bought a gun after that.
Okay.
And so Bob Call and Sandy Kaner were the two podiatrists that I went to practice with, and they used to run a residency program there. And they decided to end the residency because with the rotation of residents, year by year,
Okay.
I mean, there's a difference between you being a resident and you being the doctor that's earning the money from that practice. You have a vested interest. And the residents, you get good ones, you get bad ones.
Yeah.
And you can't teach people how to be a people person. It's tough to be a people person. I gotta tell you, I love you.
I love
I
you.
loved you the moment I saw you.
Why do you
were,
love me? Why?
You are an incredibly charismatic person. Even knowing the severity of your injury, you were so positive and upbeat. And
That's been 40 plus 50, almost 50 years ago.
This guy has a gift, though. He has a gift. He's
So
God has a
you
plan
remember
for
that?
him.
Back then, for 40 years, I was positive. Huh?
yeah.
Always.
Okay, well, I always guess.
Again, you popped into my head just serendipitously so many different times for no reason. Maybe the way my head works is kind of weird anyway, but I mean, I hear a song and then I start whistling that song all day long so much that people want to slap me because
I guess.
stop and go to another. I have a
Enough
guy
already.
who comes up and pushes the button so he can
Right,
change the
it's
radio
like change
station.
So tell me, I just want to just get some history on Sunby Hospital.
If I knew you were filming this, I would have shaved.
No,
Oh, you look good. You look good.
When we talk about Sunby Hospital, Cindy Sunby was the first black medical examiner for Wayne County. I just found that out.
I don't think I ever knew him.
No.
The facility was named
Right, it
after
was named after him. But what, like E-Course, River Rouge, Southwest Detroit, what did you know about that community before you came? Or did you know anything
I
about
just knew they were downriver communities. Hazel Park, I used to follow the horses, so I would drive around all the different tracks with friends,
So what did you gain from being at Southwest Detroit, River Rouge, E-Course, besides me meeting you, which I
Well,
love
I
you?
learned an awful lot we saw so many incredible industrial injuries from, the auto
Factories,
industry.
yeah.
From Great Lakes
I
Steel.
had a guy, so when they had big chrome bumpers,
Yes.
I didn't realize what the process was, but they would take the material and dip them in sulfuric acid before they chromed them.
Yeah,
I had a guy that fell off the beam
Into the acid?
into the acid,
Oh my God.
and burned his skin all
That's
the way
Great
up
Lakes
the
Steel.
ear.
That's a Great Lakes Steel in E-Course.
Oh.
So,
And you had to. So what did you? I mean, I know it's HIPAA laws and all that.
Well, that's
So
oh, you're not going to know who. I don't even remember the guy's name.
no,
He
there
didn't
were no
stand
HIPAA
out of
laws
my
back
mind.
then, but
So
anyway.
were you able to get him back running?
Well, we started. Yeah, we saved his legs, and we did a tremendous amount of
Skin,
grafting.
yeah, I would say skin grafting. Yeah. Oh
Well,
my God.
we didn't do skin
Oh.
grafting because that would have been a hell of a lot of skin to have to take.
Yeah.
So we used what's called xenografts, which at that time we were using pig products.
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
taking
I remember hearing that
products
skin
from-
graft from
You
pig
put
skin.
skin grafts
Yeah.
on mine because I had all.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah,
did
I can't
for
remember.
you.
I can't
and I
remember.
don't even know how to get the records from that place anymore.
I know that
so.
place been closed down. But let me ask you, since I didn't know we was going to interview you, that wasn't. But I want you to know, I flew out here just to see this man. If it wasn't for this guy,
I'm thrilled that I didn't realize you were looking for me.
Yeah, for 40 years.
I didn't realize I was.
But he talks about it all the time because that was pivotal. So at 15 years old, being a young man, having played ball, having the injury, one could have been despondent, but like you said, he had that incredible optimism.
Yeah,
that optimism. I think God used that, and I say whether you in Russia or whether you in Persia, wherever you may be, God uses that injury to let people know. This is their name, Dr. Shirley Brackett. She taught me about positive mental attitude with Napoleon Hill and all these people. And, I'm a big Zig Ziglar.
When was this? This was long after.
Long after the injury, but the injury made me really look at life, being able to take a step, being able to walk. Because remember, I could not walk. I lost my balance. I don't know if you remember Miss Powell with the physical therapy.
I'm having flashes, and I don't know if I'm making this up in my mind or not, but I kind of remember seeing you up on crutches.
That was probably a month later.
Yeah, I know it was an involved rehabilitation.
Yeah, it was a month later. I lost my balance. I had to relearn how to walk again. So let me ask you, since you're out in California, tell the people your locations, because this is, if we put it on, which I'm sure we will, because there's two messages. It's two messages. And the big message is friendship and love. And the next one is, how do we prevent people through their feet with diabetes? How do we get them to come see their local podiatrist?
The gentleman that just left here, I'm seeing just an incredible amount of increase in the amount of diabetic injuries. And by the way, when I look over this way and smile, I'm not smiling at the camera, I'm smiling at you. Because
okay. Hey everybody, he's smiling at me, not you.
So you say diabetic. So I just lost a brother. He's younger than me. I was with him for 12 years of agony. They cut this, cut that, and he ended up dying of congestive heart failure.
Was he diabetic?
Diabetic.
Your brother?
Yeah, my brother.
Are you diabetic?
No, I'm not.
Are you pre-diabetic?
No,
everybody said pre-diabetic. Those numbers changed. Back in the 60s, they was 150. Now they 120. But my numbers are not even 120 because I don't eat any bread, any potatoes, and I walk.
Have you lost weights?
No, I'm still.
But he just eats very clean. We don't do sodium, no sugar, no
I try to eat
carbs.
pretty clean too, but there's, I'm really a muncher. I like to nosh.
No. So when you say diabetic, I think the medical industry, as you said before, they say let's cut my leg off instead of you working with it.
Oh, I can't tell you how many legs I save.
Yeah,
and I can tell you, I battle with the I have the infectious disease docs coming in and say you have to amputate that guy's leg or that woman's leg, and I look at them and I'm saying, you haven't even given me a chance to do my thing.
Right.
But some of these patients have these weird bugs now. We're seeing organisms now that have developed such dramatic resistance to the antibiotics. So I had a guy that had a terrible, what's called necrotizing fasciitis, the flesh-eating bacteria.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had him opened all the way back.
Yeah, I see that all the time.
And you see it.
Yeah, I hear people tell me they got it.
So he had an organism called Stenotrophomonas multophilia, which is a gram-negative rod, and it was multi-drug resistant. The only drug that I could give him to treat this thing was Bactrim. And it would be a limited amount of time that I could use the Bactrim before it too became resistant, and there really wouldn't have been any options. So I came up with an idea, which, I'm an innovative person by nature. So, do you remember with all the oil spills how Dawn liquid detergent became? So I started using Dawn liquid detergent, and it doesn't have to be on wounds and stuff.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be Dawn. It could be any liquid detergent.
But the point
Dawn
is
was the one
that triggered you to say, hey, let's try this.
So I ended up having this patient make a poultice.
What's a poultice?
Like a mixture of things.
Potion, okay.
And the wife was very helpful. And we used Dawn liquid detergent. We used Bactrim capsules that he'd open up and sprinkle in there. And then they would mix this up into a paste, and then they would put the paste over the wound and then put, dressings on top. In addition to that, I put on xenografts, type 1 collagen xenografts. I'm using one now that is hands above anything else I've ever used, and it's wonderful material. It so accelerates the healing process. So they were doing this, and I actually, I take pictures of everything. I have all these pictures, and
so you're giving away your recipe, your compound. This is your compound. You're giving to the world.
I'm giving it to the world.
You hear that? Pay attention. What's the name of your compound? Dr. David J. Kaplan's compound. What's the name of it? So we can get rich.
It's called the David J. Kaplan Compound. And it just became a secret ingredient. So if you send $1 to P.O. Box. No.
Right.
It's any liquid detergent. And in this case, I use Bactrim because we do sensitivities on these cultures. It tells us what they do what's called an MIC, which is a minimal inhibitory concentration. And what we use is the information from that to decide which antibiotic is the best antibiotic. Bactrim can be given intravenously or orally, and Bactrim is frequently used, but Bactrim is starting to lose its efficacy now because it's so commonly used that the resistant bugs that used to be sensitive to Bactrim are now becoming resistant to Bactrim.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but in this case, it worked for him, and we salvaged this guy's leg. I'm still pissed at the infectious disease doc for telling him he had to have his leg cut off.
Yeah, I mean, would you want your leg just
and
cut off
they don't walk
randomly?
in the room there and they say, I've given this a lot of thought, and it's like, you need your leg cut off.
That's
So
very
could you imagine back in
crash and-
1977?
Even if I felt a patient needed their leg cut
That's
off,
not the way you're going to have
I
that
would
conversation.
take about 30 minutes to get there, unless the patient just said, give it to me straight.
Yeah,
Most patients don't say, give it to me
because
straight.
nobody wants to hear that.
Because nobody wants to hear that their legs cut
No.
off.
So,
nobody
so
wants to
when you
lose
talk
one.
about those different diseases that's alien that you see now, I was my personal doctor is Dr. James Bregman out of West Bloomfield. Internal medicine, you probably know him.
No.
But he tells me your eyes and your feet can tell you if you really had diabetes as well as your blood.
Looking into those.
Yeah. So when I went to get my glasses, she said you look good. Dr. Eric Mendelson, since I found you'll be
That name I know.
Yeah. He takes care of me, and he clips my toes. But as far as that,
He's out in the...
Oak Park. He's in Oak Park, Michigan.
Doesn't he have an office out by Kego?
Yeah, Kego Harbor, right there next to Salvation Army.
Yeah, he's in the office that we used to have.
Yeah, right there by
We
the
sold
Salvation
that
Army.
practice.
Okay.
Yeah, him and he's like the flat doctor. He got like 5 different places. He like you, he's all over the place. But tell us, we're in San Mateo, California. Went to a great restaurant. Just tell your friends in Detroit your other location and what you're doing if they see this.
Well, all my friends in Detroit know where I'm at, but they don't know San Mateo they don't know California like you know California or I know California.
Tell them in the other city.
So my other office is in Half Moon Bay, which is a coastal community. The only reason that office is there is because at the time there was a need for podiatry, and I lived on the coast. So I figured, what the heck? I want an office not far from where I live.
So you left Detroit and you came here, you and your wife. And your wife, she's from South America, right?
No, my current wife is from Nicaragua.
Nicaragua, so I'm saying, okay, well, Central America.
Central America,
Okay.
yes.
So anyway, you still have a son, you told me, in Livonia. But anyway, though, this is my man. This really an uplifting, emotional story. I wasn't expecting this. Go to your doctor, but you see what he's saying. He saved lives, he saved limbs, take care of your body. But anyway, some of those diseases, like when you look at a person's nails and their fingernails, what can you see that the average doctor can't see or the blood work can see? Because you like the
Well,
canary
first
in
of
the
all, if you see spots under a fingernail or a toenail, it could be an indication of a condition called subacute bacterial endocarditis, which when we see a lot of these infections with strep, which causes the necrotizing fasciitis, some of the first signs you'll see are these little black dots. It's blood actually, but little tiny black dots under the nails. That's an indication you need to get in and see somebody right away fast.
Listen, I was in Kalamata, Greece, and I just went to a place and I saw these old guys just washing their hands and washing their feet with 90% alcohol. I was like, and most of them wear sandals. Why do we have so much diabetes in America and in Greece is almost non-existent and they eat a bunch of bread all day? Explain that if you could. Not put you on the spot.
I'm not familiar with that statistic. I will tell you that obesity is really rampant in the United States. So when you travel throughout the world, you see that most people don't drive cars and they don't take public transportation. They walk almost everywhere they're going, or they're on a bicycle everywhere they're going. And I'm not sure that skinny people are necessarily healthy people. I see a lot of skinny people that are incredibly sick, have diabetes, etc. I have a lot of skinny diabetics. You would never look at them and say, hey, you're a diabetic. You wouldn't, but they are. So, but I think exercise is key, and we have a lot of obesity in this country. When you go to these Cedar Point or Disneyland or whatever, a lot of fat people walking around those places.
There are.
I'm just shocked at how many fat
Right,
people
can't
are
even get on the
walking
ride,
around.
right.
And this is not a comment on who they are because they're fat. I mean, I know a lot of fat people.
We're talking about health. That's what we're talking about health. We're not talking.
I think it's a mistake to defend your fatness because you're fat and you're proud of who you are. I think you have to be aware that there's consequences to that.
Absolutely.
Now take a person like Winston Churchill, who was fat, smoked cigars, and drank like a fish. And he lived to be in his 90s. So I can't explain that. There's genetics.
Well, George Burns, whatever the guy used to smoke a cigar.
Yeah.
Whiskey every day.
Yeah.
But he was a small guy.
But he was God.
Yeah, see, but he checked that.
So he said.
We can turn that off.